How to recognize the tonus or the modus of a composition? Let's discover this in this video. Welcome to this new video. I'm Riccardo, I'm Musicus Practicus, and today I want to talk with you about a very interesting topic, which is many times underestimated. So, the importance of tones and modes in the Renaissance, strictly connected with solmization. Some days ago, 2 weeks ago actually, I got this comment under this video. Now, the comment is in Italian, but let's translate it right now on the spot. We have hello Riccardo, okay, there are this question. The user BV9ID asks these questions. What are the problems and the limits that the modern solfeggio with the movable do can have? So the one where you say do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, where you cover all the 7th degree of the scale. And why should we adopt the hexachordal system at the place of the movable do? In Italy, today, is the only system, 99%, which is taught is the fixed do. So, for example, fa, sol, la, si, do, okay, the fixed do system. There is another system, very famous and common, very common in the United States, which is the movable do, where you sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Then I'm not an expert with this because I've never used movable do, but the concept is quite similar to hexachordal solmization. But in hexachordal solmization we have hexachord, so it's even different too from this one. And his question is, he says that starting from the why is necessary to adopt a new system is very important to inspire the new musicians to the science of the ancient music. This is true. Of course, understanding why it's important. But let's start with a very basic and logical reason. If in the Renaissance they used a particular system, and if you want to read Renaissance music with the eyes of the Renaissance musicus, beyond the why, beyond the how, beyond any question, you need to have the same tools, so the same vision of the music, and so you have to study what they study. Okay, this behind the why and behind the wow, because actually there is not any why you have to learn solmization. But if you are a musician that you want to perform Renaissance music, this is the way they used to read music. So the risk is that you do not see a lot of details, a lot of elements, and you cannot correctly interpret many important things. For example, how modes and tones work in Renaissance music. For this reason, my answer wasn't an answer about the why, because what can be the why if not to have the same tool that the Renaissance musician had? But I answered this way. Here I uploaded this picture where you can clearly see an image of this music. This is just a bicinium, a two-part composition. So, if I were a musician of the 16th century, how can I recognize the modus and the tonus of this bicinium? So, there is a specific answer, or better, a mental process, where solmization and other tools of the Renaissance music theory are necessary. Otherwise, you are in a very borderline situation where you use modern system, but then you cannot fully understand them because you do not have the right eyes, the right glasses. Imagine that now, so I cannot see very clearly from far, okay? I can clearly see my hand, but I cannot clearly see your face, the camera. If I take another pair of glasses, maybe I can see something, but I cannot see it correctly. It's the same thing. I need to wear the correct glasses, the glasses of the Renaissance musicus, to see Renaissance music as the Renaissance musicus. So what's the mental process of a Renaissance musicus? First of all, is to play or sing the bicinium. So, since even our friend in the comment says that he doesn't have the tool to give this answer, even because he cannot clearly see the clef and he doesn't know what's the pitch of the notes, let's do this exercise together. So, even you, user BV9ID, I don't know your name, so I cannot call you with your name, but you can see what I'm talking about. First of all, we have two clefs with 3 sharps, okay? Yes, here there are 4 sharps, but it's the same repeated an octave apart. We have, so, the first melody in the top, written, we can say in modern terms, in a mezzo-soprano clef, and the bass, the baritone clef, in the other voice in a baritone clef. Now, this combination is not so common. Then I'll tell you how to learn all these things, because there is something I prepared to learn Renaissance music as if you were born in the Renaissance, if you have lived in the Renaissance. But if you see these those two clefs, they are the soprano and the tenor of something written in chiavi contrabasse, so very low clef. You may say, okay, but the baritone clef is still used in chiavette, so when you want to write chiavi acute, yes, this is true, but you should have the baritone in the tenor, and that's okay. The mezzo-soprano clef in the soprano does not work, in the cantus does not work. The mezzo-soprano clef can work as scrittura in chiavette acute in the alto clef. So, let's play first of all this, and let's apply our tools. The bass starts on a la mi re, and even the cantus. As you can see, the finalis is the sol re. Now, let's sing with solmization our melody. So we have sol, fa, la, sol, fa, mi, re, fa, la, fa, mi, re, ut, fa, sol, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, la, sol, fa, sol, la, sol, fa, mi, fa, re, ut, fa, sol, fa, mi, la, fa, re, ut. Exactly, because we have even G sharp. Fa, re, ut. So, what can we notice? First of all, even if we have the baritone clef and the soprano clef, we haven't something written in contrabassi clef, as you can see. Why? And the reason is very simple. This is a transposed bicinium. So the use of transpositions helps us to use other clef, in this case in a choristo setting, because if this is for the voices, this is something good to be in a tenor setting for a very high pitch organ. If we were in Rome, I'll play this maybe another third higher. So the transposition can depend on this. For example, in one of the lessons in the Musicus Practicus Academy, in the 4 courses of the Renaissance path, I show you how the transposition of each tonus can change depending on the instrument. And about this we have Frezza. So let's take that page and that course. We are here, you have 24 hours of free learning on the Musicus Practicus Academy, where you can join and you have the Renaissance path with all these lessons. You can learn hexachordal solmization, Cantus Firmus, so the 8 ecclesiastical tones and how they work, Cantus Figuratus, so you can learn the mensural notation of the Renaissance to perform, not to do transcriptions, to perform the Renaissance notation. And then we have tones and modes. Now, what's the point? If we check how they work here, in tones and modes, and we go here, there's a PDF in chapter 6 where I put, okay, besides the Transilvano, okay, Frezza, il cantore ecclesiastico, this excerpt, where you can see that, for example, the primus tonus is transposed with the nota principale, the main note, the finalis, to be on E, La Mi, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol. This way, where on the organo romano o basso, on the Roman organ or low-pitched organ. While in the organo lombardo o alto, the primus tonus is not transposed, as you can see. Is here, in the natural positions. So, the transposition of a tonus can really depend on the pitch of the organ. And there is another transposition where we have an organ even higher than the lombardo, so the Lombard in the northern Italy, Milano, it's in Lombardy, where we have even lower transpositions due to this fact. The octavus tonus is transposed, so instead of having the finalis on Ge sol re ut, the finalis is on D, so a fourth down, it's a lot, and the octavus tonus is comfortable for the voci choriste, so this is a very high organ. They used to have these very high pitched organs. Now, since there is a transposition, the clefs does not correspond to the general rule setting, where, for example, the quartus tonus is written with chiavi contrabasse. Let's take another example from the new version of my website. No, Elon Musk does not. There's not any relationships with Elon Musk here, but in this guide, I put these two pictures by Bononcini in Musico Pratico, where you can see that each tonus has its specific combinations of the clefs. The second and fourth tones are written in contrabassi setting, as you can see, where the canto has the soprano clef and the tenor has the baritone clef, because they are very low. But this is not the case, because they are out of the ordinary system or the natural system. So let's come back now to our melody. This is an introitus of the first irregular tones, primus tonus irregularis. This is a melody of the sextus tonus perfectus mixtus imperfectus. And this is a melody of the primus tonus perfectus commixtus imperfectus major with the seventh. In the education of the Renaissance musicus, which actually extends up to the beginning of the 19th century, after learning solmization, Cantus Firmus was a very fundamental step. Cantus Firmus is the Gregorian chant as it was practiced in that period. But with Cantus Firmus we mean much more. We mean the study of the melodies, the 8 and 9 ecclesiastical tones, perfectus, imperfectus, authenticus, plagalis, the study of toni mixti and commixti, mixed and commixed, and also toni irregulares, irregular tones, the study of the 9 and not 8 psalm tones, the study of the effect that these tones have on our mind and in the sounding universe. And many other things that you can discover downloading the free ebook that I've prepared for you, where you can discover all the things you can learn in each chapter of this step of your initiatory journey to become a musicus practicus of the Renaissance. So don't waste your time, go to this link and get your ebook. let's come back to our melody, and what can we notice? We have a descending fifth, okay, very nice, and the finalis is on De Sol Re. This De Sol Re has F sharp and G sharp, so we have the descending fifth, which says Fa, Mi, La, Sol, Fa, because of the position of the semitones, Fa, Mi, La, Sol, Fa. So this is a descending fifth, and this species of the fifth, of the diapente, is the third species of the diapente. All these things about species are explained in the Cantus Firmus course. Why Cantus Firmus? Because you have to learn solmization before saying Fa, Mi, La, Sol, Fa, okay? Even in Musica Ficta, even in the Renaissance, because here we are at the beginning of the Renaissance. So, where to learn this? We are in, not the partimento method, we are in the Renaissance path, in more specifically in the Cantus Firmus course you can access here, or let's do it very quickly from this point, in chapter 3, where we study the species of all the intervals. Now, the species of all the intervals, the species are those elements which create the tonus in terms of primus, secundus, tertius, first, second, third tonus. The species we are talking about is the species diapente, and Fa, Mi, La, Sol, Fa is the third species of the diapente. Fa, Mi, La, Sol, Fa, as you can see. The third species of the diapente, if you study Cantus Firmus and tones and modes, you know that is typical of some specific tones. If they are ascending, if it is ascending, so Fa, Sol, Re, Mi, Fa, it evokes the tonus authenticus. If it is descending, it evokes the tonus plagalis. This thing can be valid or not valid in polyphony. In Cantus Firmus is valid. Very, very, very important. In Cantus Figuratus, in polyphony, it's not the only factor we have to pay attention, because we have polyphony, many voices. In Cantus Firmus, there's only one voice, one melody. But we can even see that we have another species after the rest, where we have the cadence to E La Mi, which is Fa, Fa, Mi, Fa, Re, Ut, Fa, Mi, Re, Ut. Fa, Mi, Re, Ut is the third species of the diatessaron, so the fourth. What does it mean? It means that we have the third species of the diapente, Fa, Mi, La, Sol, Fa, plus the third species of the diatessaron, Fa, Mi, Re, Ut. This combination is the combination of the sextus tonus, or better, the sextus modus, which does not correspond to the sextus tonus. This is another chapter. Now, one thing at a time. The same thing can be seen in the melody we have here. La, Fa, La, Fa, Mi, Fa, Re, Do, Re, Mi, Re, Sol, La, Fa, Sol, Mi, Fa, La, Sol, Fa, Mi, Re, Mi, Fa, Fa, Mi, Fa, La, Fa, Mi, Re, Mi, Fa. And so, based on these elements, so the third species of the diapente, the third species of the diatessaron, descending species, so tonus plagalis, so it cannot be an odd number tonus, it cannot be the primus, the tertius, or the quintus, only the secundus, second, fourth, sixth, eighth. We are at the presence of the sextus modus, because we are in polyphony, sextus modus. But the sextus modus is not used in composing polyphony. Fa, Mi, La, Sol, Fa, Mi, Re, Ut. It can work quite well with two voices, but if you have more than two voices, you should use the sextus tonus ecclesiasticus, which correspond to another modus. Which one? The 12th modus. Why? Because, let's go to another chapter of our Renaissance path. So we have to talk about transposition, because there is a lot of materials and I have to remember where I put all the material. We are talking about transposition, so we are in tones and modes now for a second. let's go to Tones and Modes here, where we have the introductions and the transpositions here, tonus or modus. First of all, interesting aspect, in that example we had the fourth and the fifth, so we have the arithmetic division of the diapason, which is fourth plus fifth, and not the harmonic division. So we have the sesquiterza and sesquialtera. When we talk about proportion, we are talking about another very important topic of Renaissance music. And where is this topic covered? Here you have to go in the Cantus Figuratus course. Chapter 6 is about proportions, and then you have all the video lessons. But if you check even the PDFs, you can not now, you can find the PDF when it loads, because it's very big, about proportions with explanation of all the meanings, sesquialtera, sesquiterza, super bipartiente terza, how they conceived proportions in the Renaissance, even from a theoretical point of view, and also from a practical point of view, with examples where we sing and beat music. Now let's come back to the other section, because all these elements are connected. So this is the difficult thing, even for me, to explain to you this aspect. There are a lot of things connected, and you have to study one of them separately, and then you can connect all the dots. It's not an easy thing, but you can do it because now all the things are organized in a gradual path. So we were talking about species, and we said that we have the arithmetic division. Let's go to the transposition that we can find in Adriano Banchieri. So they are, no, they are not here, they are not here, they are not here. They are here in chapter 2, when we talk about the 8th tones, ecclesiastical tones to Cantus Figuratus, in Cantus Figuratus. Here we have the tones of Cantus Firmus, in the setting of Cantus Firmus, and look at the tenor, secundus tonus. Laudate pueri Dominum, laudatem nomen Domini. It's very low, that's why it's written in contrabassy clef. The sextus tonus has the B flat. So the species fa sol re mi fa, even in the sextus tonus ecclesiasticus, became ut re mi fa sol. It changed the species. So if we check the bicinium of the sextus tonus ecclesiasticus, so we are talking about ecclesiastical tones, quartus, all of these are examples we play and analyze in our in the course. There's a lot of lessons about this. Sextus tonus. In the sextus tonus, even in Cantus Firmus, the chord B flat is used a lot. Look at this example of the sextus tonus, introitus of the sextus tonus. Fa fa ut fa sol sol fa la sol fa 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 mi fa sol sol fa fa. Or here, la sol 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 fa re fa mi fa la sol mi fa re. And in terms of polyphony, it happens that the sextus tonus ecclesiasticus, duo means bicinium, two-part composition of the sextus tonus ecclesiasticus. Fa, do, sol, fa, la, sol, fa, su, e, fa, re, mi, fa, re, mi, fa, la, sol, fa, sol, mi, la, fa, sol. Yes, I'm playing the wrong notes. Let's start again. As you can see, we have the B flat even in the sextus tonus ecclesiasticus, which is different than when we use the sextus tonus of the Psalms. But if we check the corresponding match between the 8 tones and the 12 modes, we can see that they do not match. Banchieri is very clear about this. If we go to the other chapter, chapter 3 of the tones and modes level, in this PDF, at the end, no, not even at the end, if we go to the duo of the 12th tone, so yes, at the end, we can clearly see how Banchieri says that the 12 modus is the 6th tonus for B flat, and when raised a 5th for B natural, it works well for canzone of acute instruments. When transposed an octave down, it is suitable for contrabassi and low pitch instruments. And here is the duo alto and basso by Banchieri of the 12th modus or sextus tonus. So our examples is in the sextus modus, the previous example we analyzed at the beginning, but not in the 12th, in the sextus modus, because the sextus tonus corresponds to the 12th tonus, to the 12th modus, while the sextus modus is not used so much. Let's see what Banchieri says about the sextus tonus, the sextus modus. Let's scroll all the pages. Only in this chapter there are more than 100 pages. So let's come back here, sextus, here it is. Banchieri says that this sixth mode, sextus modus, the one we played before, is not commonly used due to its rather unpleasant nature, but if one wishes to use it for playing the organ, it works. However, for vocal music, it is better to use the sextus tonus, which is the 12th modus, transposed on a 5th for B flat. In fact, that bicinium was by Di Ruta, written for the organ. And in fact, you can use it on the organ, but not for vocal music, doesn't sound well. For vocal music, is more suitable, the Sextus Ecclesiastical Tonus is more suitable. In fact, let's go to another chapter of this course, of the Tones and Modes course, chapter 7, when we analyze polyphony, in particular 7.4. The example we analyze here, but we have to go to the PDF, is the famous Sicut Cervus by Palestrina, and our Sicut Cervus by Palestrina is not written in the Sextus Modus, is the 12th modus or the Sextus Tonus. They are the same because they share the same species of the diapente and the diatessaron. That's why the big topic of tones and modes, actually, once you understand solmization, is very easy to understand, because you have some species and the 12 mode system does not introduce any new species than that we have in the 8 ecclesiastical tones. That's why a lot of composers, writers, authors said that at the end the modes or the tones are only 8. The others are just transpositions. In fact, this is in the 12th modus or sextus tonus. Fa, fa, sol, fa, ut, fa, re, mi, fa, sol, mi. As you can see. How's the sextus tonus of the psalm? Dixit Dominus Domino meo, sedes ad dextris meis. Or there is another ending, actually, another middle cadence. Dixit Dominus meo, which is exactly as the primus tonus, but then the finale is on F out. Sedes ad dextris meis, and we can see in the profile of the melody of the tenor the sextus tonus of the psalm. Sicut cervus desiderat ad fontes aquarum, fa sol la fa la, dixit Dominus meo, sedes ad dextris meis, and then. So this word about tones and modes, for example, can be clearly understood only through solmization, because you need to know species, diapente and diatessaron, And to classify the species, you have to know how solmization works, because species are based on how solmization works. Otherwise, with tone, tone, semitone, no, the first species is tone, semitone, tone. The second species is semitone, tone, tones. You get crazy, but with the 6 syllables, it's much easier. If you don't want to learn solmization, don't learn it. You are not obliged. There's no. So I won't arrive to your home and kill you because you don't want to learn solmization here on my website or anywhere else. I mean, but if you study Renaissance music, if you perform Renaissance music, you need to know it. Otherwise, you cannot have a clear vision of this music. By the way, at the end, this example, no, it's on Google Chrome. This example, which is for the organ by Di Ruta, is in the Sextus Modus, but it is not the Sextus Ecclesiastical Tonus, because the Sextus Tonus has the fourth species of the diapente, Sol, Fa, Mi, Re, Ut, descending, and the third species of the diatessaron, Fa, Mi, Re, Ut. The only species we keep in common is the species of the diatessaron. Here we have the third species of the diapente, which is very different. And so let's conclude all of this playing again this bicinium. La, sol, fa, mi, re, mi, fa, fa. Fa, fa, mi, fa, la, fa, mi, re, mi, fa. Perfect. If you want to delve, if you're so crazy to delve into this Renaissance world, all the things I've talked about are within the Renaissance Musicus path, which you can find on the Musicus Practicus Academy. Join, you have 24 hours to start your journey. If you like, start studying solmization with the given resources, then you can continue activating your yearly subscription and get the access to all the Renaissance courses that now there are, and during the year from June, because I'm working on it on this period, I'm adding other levels even on the Baroque path, for example, suite and dances. Or then in the future all the counterpoint lessons will be there. Otherwise, on Patreon you can find other resources. Patreon is more how can I say, a more familiar, but I mean more intimate environment than the Musicus Practicus Academy, where we study in a very rigorous way all the topics of Renaissance ancient music. So what to do? Join and then start studying and then activate your subscription. And in any case, see you here to discover other things of the Renaissance world. I have bad news for you. In the Renaissance, transcriptions didn't exist. All musici pratici, indeed, read music directly from the original sources. They knew how to read ligatures and recognize the correct values, brevis, longa, semibrevis, maxima. They could accurately interpret all the mensurations, perfect, imperfect, tempus, modus, prolazio. They knew how to beat the tactus in accordance with the mensurations and the proportions. So, modern transcriptions are unnecessary. Yes, they can be useful if you want to study the counterpoint and the vertical setting. But do you really have the audacity to claim you perform Renaissance music and are an expert, yet you don't know how to read the notation used by the Renaissance musicians? Fortunately, today you too can learn how to read white mensural notation directly from the original sources without relying anymore on any transcriptions nonsense. I've prepared an entire course of 90 practical lessons for you, where I'll teach you gradually how to read figures and rests, how to correctly interpret mensurations in the ancient and in the modern system, how to correctly beat the tactus according to the mensuration and the proportions, how to correctly perform imperfect mensurations and perfect mensurations with all the rules of perfections and imperfections, how to correctly beat the proportions, even the most unexpected ones, like 5-3, how to correctly align the syllables of the text to the notes of the piece, and much more. 90 practical lessons, 200 pages of examples and exercises from the original sources, no transcriptions, only examples from the original sources. So, no more excuses to don't learn white mensural notation, sign up for the course, discover all the topics and the content. Purchase the course and start learning white mensural notation today. Click here.